Ah, we are live. It's so amazing that we are on day 12. Who would have thought that day 12 would come this easily? Okay. And it's just been a marathon of insights, information, and inspiration. Yesterday, someone on the program said, "Hey, man, look, they can't wait to have today started." Anyway, my name is Oluseyi Taiwo Adepoju. I am your host on Redefining Masculinity today. And like every other day, we're just going to be sharing perspectives as to how to live as a man in these times, and to also help the women that love the men to also better understand and prepare on how well to, accommodate or tolerate, as the case may be, the men that you find in your life. So today, today I'm excited also because we're also going to be shaking tables, and it's just about shaking tables, right? Shaking tables in the sense that we have constantly just helped people to define how to live in these times. Anyway, now so today it's about money. It's about power. It's about control. So money and power in marriages, how to share without losing control. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how does this work? How does this really work? You want to share without losing control, but as we progress with this, can I even ask a question? Start with a question that in your marriage, do you feel like money and decision making are equally shared? Or how does sharing power and financial responsibility affect your marriage? Why this question is so important is because from the studies I've done, even as I prepared for this session, was that beyond the balance of power of money, power, and control in marriages, money was the number one issue that married couples fought over. It's something that we fight over, right? And it's the second leading cause of divorce behind infidelity. So if there's anything that threatens marriages today or relationships, is that people are not talking about money. Yes, people are not talking about money. And because people are not talking about money, there's a lot of crisis, right? A lot of crisis. And I'm just going to be sharing my own thoughts as to what I'd experienced, what I wish I could have done better, on how to have lived, an enjoying life, whilst being married. Have you ever wondered that most times, all that people discuss prior to, getting married, would be what? What do they discuss? People are always chit-chatting about their favorite movies, favorite colors. People are talking about holidays, and even their food preferences, right? But these crucial things as to money, oftentimes always ignored. So I don't know if anybody has followed the series about some guy. Is it let me not mention the guy's name. No, yeah, it's VDM now. And then he kind of exposed some lady, some family, the ABC family. I really don't want to get into that discussion, but there was something I took from that, from his post and his conversations, was largely around the fact that two things probably have tended to end that relationship. One was the fact that the guy was confused as to, you say we're getting into a relationship, and as we speak today, money, we never discussed money, right? And I've expended money, and the simplest things that I expected you to contribute about, you were not involved. So that was one. The second thing was that the temperament level, right? The guy also soon realized that the lady he was getting involved with is highly temperamental. So what it meant was that there would be a balance, an imbalance of power control, and even money. And if we cannot discuss about those things prior to marriages, then can we even start to discuss about it whilst being in your relationship? If you're alive, if you are on with us now, you might want to share with a few friends and get this going. Because today we are going to be rocking the table and throwing more light as to money, power, and control in relationships. So it doesn't. One of the things I also like to tell people that are just getting into relationships or want to start a relationship is that the money matter does not start in the relationship. It starts before the relationship. So it's one of those things you must talk about. In fact, I advocate that beyond talking about the mental health of the guy, understanding the psychological framework of the individual, also understand the compatibility in terms of your genotype. Another thing you guys must start to talk about is about money. Because money, like I said, is the number two reasons why marriages or relationships go the other way. They just go up in flames, and we begin to have irreconcilable differences. So why is sharing money and power important in marriages? I recall like I told you, this is 20 years plus that I'm married, and some of the issues that we had around our relationship, not directly connected to money, but somehow also directly connected to money. So let me even start from, if it comes to, what comes to mind was the money that we were sprayed. Whose money is that money? You do understand? We paid together. I paid for some things. We had the wedding, grand wedding. Okay? And then I was preparing also to move into a new apartment, right? And then the entire money that they sprayed us. Whose money is that money? Well, then I didn't know. They said that money is for the madam. I said, I budgeted now. Anyway, well, the reality is that until people start to talk about these issues, okay, until people start to talk about these matters, you truly cannot begin to experience true fulfillment. Because beyond infidelity, there's also something we call financial infidelity. So you say, Oracle, which one is that one again? Yes, now, when you start to hide things away from your partner, it's infidelity. So there's the sexual infidelity, there's the spiritual infidelity. Some would go and meet the Baba and now be conniving with Baba. So they are hiding now. It's infidelity. So there's also financial infidelity. And until we begin to understand that transparency in a relationship should not be is something that we cannot throw aside. It's something that is intrinsic towards developing or nurturing any relationship. So this issue about having to share relationships, okay, share responsibility in fostering trust and equality in marriage starts first with discussions around money. I hope you got it. It starts first with discussions around money. So, like I said, so that was the first experience. That how can I have contributed majorly to the event, and now we are going back. There are bills to be paid, but the money that was shared during our couples dance is being handled by my wife. Okay. The second thing was, now this money was kept. What about the money for the baby? As the child begins to come out, they'll say, this money is for the child, but yet the man is still struggling to find the money to buy Pampers or to buy Cerelac and the rest of it. So, do you understand what I'm saying? Now, until couples start to, begin to relate with that, and some people say, "Oh yes, my man is made. I don't have to talk about this." Well, it's up to you. When the chips are down, you soon realize that this is a discussion you guys must have, because these are the kind of things that lead to resentment, and it creates imbalance of power. Because once the person, he would dictate the tone. The piper dictates the tone. Or how do you say this thing? He who plays the piper dictates the tone. Okay. So that means as you are playing, after some time, you find out that you are saying your husband is possessive. Your husband is this, he's doing that. That's where it starts. Because as a man's investment is in treasure, that means his heart will be there. And that's why there's always this imbalance. So, because once there's imbalance, once it seems as if I'm the only one, after some time, it would also become, an infidel in terms of even disclosure of how he spends money. You hear that a man died and somehow his spouse did not even know about anything. Why? Because they've also become worried that if I expose myself too much, this woman might ruin me. So we're saying that for the men and the women who love their men, can we start to play some transparency about this whole thing called financial openness and transparency? And that can we have a balance of money, power, and control? So marriage thrives when both partners collaborate instead of controlling one another. And I've told you how control starts. It's about when it's only one party feeding. After some time, you say, it's my responsibility, and I've been doing this, and then he wants to be in charge. It's like later you say, they're treating you as a slave. How would they not treat you as a slave? But sorry, I'm not talking about women now. Guys, let's talk. We are saying that you must now be vulnerable to the extent that you can also share some of the challenges you are facing. Okay, you must be able to discuss issues around finance with your spouse, and in doing that, it just makes you better. Okay, and it just makes sure that you're able to eliminate those things that could be hiccups. I recall one of my financial challenges, and there was an exercise that we were told to begin to display. Was that be transparent about your earnings, and from that session, I think it was a Bible session, right? The Bible class thing, and so as soon as I got out of that session, the first monies I was paid, you know what I did? I moved the entirety of the money, to my wife's account. Even in my mind, I was like, this woman, I'm not gonna spend all the money on. But that money, because she was in custody of that fund, the fund. Do you know that I was at peace all through? And in the administration of the funds, there was no way, because I was being transparent, that she would come and say she wants to now buy this one, buy that one. No, she knew all that was available at that time. Point C, right? So it was like, can we take? In fact, she would even come and say, what, don't let us, so that we can save this. And I thought that was novel, even though I have not been consistent with that. But I'm saying, look, you guys are starting and you guys are want to move on. Please try and introduce that. And it starts from even having to manage your finances, because women are multipliers. Okay, if the earlier you understand this, the better. That if you leave something with a woman, if she has your interest at that, she's able to help you, to manage and contain it. Now, I think it's out of insecurity, okay, or fear that men and women begin to have these debates around who is in control, who is not in charge. Someone says collaboration is key. Yeah, definitely, collaboration is key in this thing called finance, control, and power. When we also kind of begin to balance these things, okay, we soon realize that there's some level of empowerment. Because if someone is already contributing, you find out that there's more value, and that person has skin in the game, right? And with this skin in the game, it means that because they are contributing, they also understand that they also have you have their interest at heart, and you're able to carry them along. Once it's one-sided, you'll find out that it's difficult for you to relinquish control. Because it's one-sided, it's difficult for you also to have them in the decision making. But can you imagine if you guys have to decide on the matter together? Whether it's finance, whether it's spiritual, whether it's social, it will save a lot of troubles. Let me tell you some of the things I realized that were inimical to our non-disclosure as to our financial propriety. Do you know, if we had a mutual friend that was doing birthday, okay, or had a ceremony that needed to be done, because I'm like, there was this ego drive. I'm the man, this, that. I would give money to maybe the friend or the couple. My wife will also give something to the spouse of the couple. Why couldn't we have done a joint effort? It could even have saved us less and saved us more. Where we would have, so we ended up dissipating energy negatively. She would put energy, time, talent. I probably would put talent and energy. Meanwhile, if I had concerted these efforts, maybe we would have had a better outcome. So I tell people, when we start to share these responsibilities collectively and balance these powers, it will reduce friction. Remember what I told you, that money is the number 2 reasons why divorce is on the increase, because people don't talk about money, and that money issue starts before the relationship and not in the middle of the game. That's why it's always difficult to change the goalpost. And when you say, oh, now you must be contributing, but you didn't tell us before now that we should be contributing. How then do you want me to start to contribute, right? And so, look, some guys will now ask and say, okay, how then do we progress? So I'm going to start to share with us on how to share money and power without losing control as a guy. Okay, and it's about conversations. It's about having to discuss these matters. It's about saying, look, babe, you see, they're not allowing us to breathe, or these things are happening. How then can we start to build a formidable, union, particularly around our finances, to help our home? Remember, if you understand the purpose of your coming together, it's also important that you can chart a path, okay, a roadmap towards getting there. And one of those things that fuels the realization of every purpose, of every dream, of every goal is finance. Beyond passion, beyond commitment, beyond effort, beyond everything you want to do. Remember, we talked about the secret word that keeps the relationship commitment. That beyond all of that, we must understand that finance plays a critical role. And if we're open about these discussions about finance, it's not about what you earn. If you earn $500,000 and the husband earns $50,000, or is the other way around, can we be open about it? Can we start to explore how to say, okay, how does this work, for our collective result? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I understand there's an echo on my mic, but for whatever it is, I hope that you guys can, bear with us. I think there's a technical glitch, but guess what? This is the journey. We must get this going. Someone says communication is in every relationship is paramount. They are so apt, so right, and that's what I've been saying. That look, if we're open in our communication, we would have started to have a way of balancing the control. Let me tell you something. One thing I realize is that there's a lot of assumptions. And if your wife is not a witch and the husband is not a wizard, if you guys are not talking, how then do you guys want to be able to discuss on your finances? How do they want to imagine how much you earn? After all, every time you're picking the bills, you're doing this, you're forming big boy. But meanwhile, you're in pains, okay? You're almost tending towards penury. Can you not be open? Can you not just be open about those things? Well, the women that love their men, find a way of getting this program to reach your men, because it will be beneficial to you. Now, beyond open communication is that, can we start to explore joint financial, and I'm saying this now as an instruction to those that are coming on this journey, that a joint financial plan strengthens collaboration in marriage. I'm saying it might not work for everybody. Remember, I told you, I started wrongly. In between, we experimented, it was fantastic. But for some reasons, we are not working on that part. So I'm not telling you I'm doing this, but I'm saying that from hindsight, I think that would have been ideal, where we would have collaborated together and somehow earned each other's trust to be able to ensure that there's financial fidelity. Okay, because what I've realized also is that the moment people start to hide what they're spending money on, it's also leading to a lot of cracks. And remember we say we want to be open about several things, right? Now, in redefining masculinity today, we're saying be transparent, be open. But if you're now not open about how much you earn, how you spend, what you spend, who you are spending on, it starts to lead some cracks that starts to probably decimate into some emotional distance. And this emotional distance could lead to a crack and probably also lead to the eventual breakup of your relationship. So I'm just saying. Now, when we also understand this power play and the dynamics of this money or this passion or control, right, or power, we realize that when we divide responsibilities, okay, and let me give you a case in point. One of the things I feel honored about is that my wife earns money, right? She also makes money. And there are times when I've had to even borrow from her. Say, hey, babes, can you raise me this? But you know what? That money you pay is worse than borrowing money from the bank, because you have to pay with interest. And you can imagine you're rising and waking up with your with the person that gave you money. Obviously, you cannot be sleeping well. No, that was a joke. But the reality is that when they are open as to those things, you can easily say, look, how do you support? So there are instances where there are some things I deliberately just, not out of wickedness, I just blank. There's no way my wife can come and start asking me about money for Maggie, or that day. In fact, the children, when they were resuming at school, there were a couple of things that I didn't even get to know about. Sometimes I didn't even know what they are wearing, who is wearing what. Occasionally when I travel, I do like mass shopping. But those little things as to, they're buying socks bulk, they're buying this in bulk. Women just have that dexterity around it. So, and if you have not empowered your woman, or if the woman is not empowered enough, or she doesn't even feel a sense of belonging, where she's open with her purse, then you begin to, move towards spending. So I'm saying you women also be more liberal, right? And it's all for our own good, because at the end of the day, when we share power and we share finances, we share responsibilities, it also just leads to trust building, and it also shows that you have a skin in the game. And that's why you see some people say, after all these years, we build this together. They can talk from their mouth. I don't think people in this generation can do that. They can say with their mouth that we built this together. Okay, so what have you guys built together? Are you building in the air, or you are building on the bed? Oh, sorry, this is not an adult class. Let's leave it at that. So what are the psychological benefits? Okay, the psychological benefits, of sharing power and money in relationships. You probably just want to. Somebody saying, what could there be? The benefits. Look, there are a lot of benefits from this. Remember, once you are not disclosing, you're under a lot of pressure. Now, once you're able to express and communicate, what ultimately happens is that you are reducing stress and it strengthens the relationship. Remember when we started to talk about vulnerability? Vulnerability is when you're able to express your fears and emotions without being castigated. When you are being open, you are vulnerable. You can even begin to cry about issues, okay? And if you truly have a relationship, okay, then it therefore means, if you really have a relationship, it therefore means that somehow, okay, you would have lessened the pressure on your partner or even on yourself. Now, so sharing financial decisions reduces stress and strengthens the relationship. Another thing is that, when we collaborate financially, we build emotional intimacy and trust. Remember, once people have a sense of belonging, a skin in the game, they will go all out to protect their interests. And what it therefore means is that it just begins to help build even a formidable intimacy level that cannot be easily broken. Once we're able to establish these thoughts, once we're able to ensure that sharing, happens along those lines, people are able to share decisions, okay? They are able to reduce the stress. And beyond that, it also begins to empower and build mutual respect. I don't know if I'm still live. If you can still see me, you could drop a comment. And if this is making sense, I don't know if you've shared with anyone, this is the perfect time to subscribe. And we are still going on, and I'll be out of your faces soon. So I said, look, psychologically, once we start to share power, money, and control, okay, it prevents resentment and strengthens the bond. Sometimes you can just imagine if all you are doing is you're operating like the Dead Sea. Let me give you the example of the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea, things flow into the Dead Sea, and nothing comes out of the Dead Sea. So everything on the Dead Sea is floating. Now, that can lead to resentment. If you don't have skin in the game, it's like if you're running a company, if you have your partners, if you have your workers, if you have people working with you, if they don't contribute, after some time, you will lead to abuse. Before you know what is up, there will be resentment. And with that, after some time, there will be, insults, abuses of all sorts. So we're saying that gain your ground as a man, as a woman, leverage on having to use this strategy of balancing your involvement or your sense of belonging by being involved, by being involved. And that's why I say inclusion in financial decision goes a long way in strengthening bonds. I totally agree with you, Sonia. This clearly makes a lot of sense, and that's what we have also been exegeting on. So people have fears. Okay, there is now the need, okay, to overcome the fear of losing control, because it's good that you are dictating or playing the piper, dictating the tune. Maybe you love your sound so well, all right, the music you're playing. Now you fear to lose control over the sound or the tune that is being played. What I'm saying is that there's beauty in diversity, and since it's a partnership, all right, rather than a dictatorship, we are saying that as people begin to share these responsibilities, blend their noise and making it turn into some rhythm of some sort, then real control in marriage would have started to become a thing of the past, but it will now be a collaboration. But if you don't have a collaboration, if you are acting as a dictator, I can tell you it's going to be frustrating. Now, let's even talk about the biblical perspectives. And I'm just going to read a verse in the Bible, and it says that, look, husbands are called to love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. It means that we are called to a higher order as men. That irrespective of even whether they are not contributing, because it's to their detriment if they are not contributing. It's to their detriment if they don't want to get involved in this game. Leave it to them. But you have a primary responsibility as the man to be the provider, the protector, the preserver, the procreator, the priest, the patriarch, all right, the partner, and much more. But yes, love your wives. And look, I can't say it more, because look, the issues around money and power don't have to be the sources of conflict. Your spouse must not get scared when they want to discuss issues of money. And even you women that love your men, they can be easy. But you see, this Gen Z, this generation that you people, if it doesn't end so, I cannot. You are going to wait there. Sorry, that is saying that you are going to stay long at the riverside. So guys, it's not yours or mine, because this is your money. But your money is our money. My money is my money. Guys, it is not like that. Remember, the two shall become one, and in making the two become one, that means that we move from being separate beings into merging into a whole being, and that cannot be done excluding the finance. Okay, if you can open yourself to your spouse, how much more opening your vault, or your purses, or your wallet? I think it's an anomaly when we're able to do all the other things. Okay, either the woman is able to cook your food and you're able to expose your appetite to her. Okay, what if she poisons you? Then it's now your money that you cannot expose to her. So it's not yours or mine, it is ours. It's ours. And I don't know how you want to take this on. Somebody saying, I believe some men like having that financial control over their wives. What can the women do in such? Well, what we're saying is that get involved. It's because you are not involved. That's why it appears that things are not happening. Get involved. That's why I say have a skin in the game. Today the man came. There's some skin in the game. After some time, you would say, I've gone to fix this. After some time, the guy starts to trust in you, in your judgment, in your capabilities. But when you have to wait for him to go and buy Maggi, and they ask you, why is the food not ready? You say, there was no Maggi, I was waiting for you. After I sent you a text since morning, you have not replied. How would they not treat you resentful? That's what we're saying. We're saying that you must get to that point. Somebody says, what about men that want their wives to be full housewives? Okay, well, that's what we're saying. We're saying that this thing does not start, you don't change the goalpost in the middle of the game. This discussion starts before marriage. So when they were telling you that, why did you not ask yourself, hey, am I able to? You went to school, you went to study, You have even done tradesman, you've done business entrepreneurship, you've done all of that. Then one man says they will keep you in the home. Wait, even if you don't like yourself, and I'm not telling you to jeopardy. That's what you even call double jeopardy. Because then when you now leave the man because he cannot provide, they will call you a wicked woman. We're saying let's build a two are better than one. Let's build a formidable platform. And I'm not detesting or trying to disparage people that want to be able to provide solely for their women. But I'm just saying, in the VUCA world that we're in, when things are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, when things are highly dynamic, okay, anything can happen. And when things happen, what would be your excuse? What would be your own challenge? How would you confront this matter? Oh, he died, he left me. They'll walk you out of the home. God help you. And that's what we're saying about. That's what we're talking about. Have a skin in the game. Let it be known that you were part of this family. You are part of this union. You've contributed sweat, time, talent, treasure. Okay? And look, there are opportunities for women now to even earn. Some people are doing remote work. Yes, his laziness, I will say, my husband wants me to be a housewife. Continue. You as in, sorry, you will experience good struggle. Oh, is that a good way to put it? You go suffer. Yes. Okay. So, guys, I know we could talk about this from now to tomorrow, but one of the things that is important to be able to drop, even as we begin to wind down on this episode, is that there is no reason to hold a higher income or to have a higher hold a higher income over the others. The fact that you earn more or less should not make you less of a man or a woman. Okay, what we're saying is that starting with you, starting today, let's even decide. Okay, can we even have a plan? Can we start to save? Can we start to invest jointly? Do you know that once you start to go on that journey, you realize that some kind of levels of intimacy will start to grow. A man's treasure is where his heart is. Okay? Now, if after some time, once you also have your treasure with that treasure, it leads to a blend, and that blend makes it beautiful. Guys, look, redefine your understanding about this, even as we define masculinity today, is that we must overcome the fear of losing control, but much more is that financial infidelity is something we must start to put away. Bring your woman in, let her understand the dynamics. Women, support your men, start contributing, and we're saying together we can create a balance of money, of power, and of control. Subscribe if you like this, share to a friend, and I hope that I see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. God bless. Bye.